I am absolutely thrilled to dive into this one with you today. We're going to be tracing the legendary journey of one of England's oldest, most storied professional football clubs. We're turning the clock way, way back to 1886 to uncover the true origins of Arsenal FC. I mean, we're talking about a group of literal munitions workers building a local squad from scratch, all the way up to a global sporting powerhouse that practically dominates the modern game. It's an epic story of evolution, some seriously intense rivalries, and just undeniable sporting greatness. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for how a team of everyday workers transformed into giants of the sport. We'll start with part 1, forging the Gunners. Then, moving north, making rivals. After that, we'll hit the Arsene Wenger revolution, which leads right into the Invincible season. And finally, we'll wrap the whole shebang up with Arsenal in the modern era. So, part 1, forging the Gunners. Let's take a look at the earliest days of the club, starting with their really humble beginnings over in Woolwich, southeast London. You know the famous Gunners nickname, right? Well, the origin of that lies exactly in their 1886 founding. The club was actually started by literal munitions workers in Woolwich. And that industrial, hard-working grit, it's permanently stamped right onto the club's visual identity. I mean, it's the exact reason for their classic red and white kits, and exactly why there's a literal cannon sitting proudly right in the center of their crust. They were quite literally forged in an armaments factory, and they proudly carry that heritage with them to this day. And this brilliantly illustrates their steady growth just by tracking the evolution of their name, because they definitely didn't start out as the massive global brand we know today. Originally, they went by Dial Square, before kind of evolving into Royal Arsenal to, fully embrace that munitions connection we just talked about. And eventually, they streamlined the whole thing to simply Arsenal. It perfectly marks their transition from just a local worker squad into a true professional mainstay. Moving on to part 2, moving north, making rivals. This covers the massive geographical shift that forever changed the club's trajectory, and really, their entire financial future. So, by 1913, the club was facing a major turning point. To survive, grow financially, and actually attract the larger crowds they desperately needed to compete at a higher level, they made a bold business decision. They packed up and relocated from Woolwich all the way up to Highbury in North London. Now, this move absolutely worked wonders for growing the club's financial footprint. But, as you can probably guess, when you suddenly move into a brand new neighborhood, you inevitably step on someone else's turf. Because they moved north, Arsenal planted themselves squarely in the territory of Tottenham Hotspur FC. Talk about a classic cause and effect scenario. That 1913 relocation straight up sparked what we now know as the North London Derby. And let me tell you, this isn't just your standard weekend match. It is one of England's absolute fiercest rivalries. Being geographic neighbors created incredibly passionate fan bases and guaranteed high-intensity, explosive clashes every single time these two sides meet on the pitch. All right, part 3, the Arsene Wenger revolution. This introduces the real modern catalyst for the club, setting up a completely defining era that ran from 1996 all the way to 2018. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how one single manager completely shifted the entire paradigm of English football behind the scenes. When Arsene Wenger took the helm, he didn't just manage the team on match day, he revolutionized the entire operation from the ground up. He brought in entirely modern training methods, completely changed how the athletes fueled their bodies through modernized nutrition, which was pretty wild at the time, and totally overhauled the club's scouting network to unearth hidden gems. This meticulous approach directly led to 3 Premier League titles and 7 FA Cups. But of course, a brilliant system needs brilliant execution to actually work. Wenger's modernized approach perfectly empowered some of the game's most legendary players. I mean, you've got Thierry Henry, a guy with unmatched skill who famously became the club's all-time top scorer. Then you have the technical wizardry of Dennis Bergkamp and the absolute defensive bedrock that was Tony Adams. These specific elite athletes truly executed the vision on the pitch and defined key eras of Arsenal's massive success. Which brings us to part 4, the Invincible season. Get ready because we're hitting the absolute climax of Wenger's tenure, the legendary, almost mythical 2003 to 2004 Premier League season. I really want you to take a second and just imagine the sheer physical and mental grind of playing in the English top flight. You're going up against the best, most aggressive teams in the country, week in and week out. Now imagine pushing through that grueling schedule and racking up an incredible 26 wins. Let's move to and see how this builds. Because, in football, you just can't win every single match. Over a long season, you're dealing with injuries, hostile away crowds, and highly resilient opponents. But when Arsenal couldn't secure the win that year, they simply refused to lose. They ground out 12 really hard-fought draws, scraping for every single point just to keep their incredible streak alive. And then we arrive at this number, 0. I want you to really think about the sheer statistical improbability of what that actually means. Across a grueling, physically demanding 38-game season, through brutal winter schedules and those incredibly intense derbies, they ended up with a 0 in the loss column. Not a single defeat. So, the crucial point is this. Arsenal achieved something that is still utterly unparalleled. They are the only team in modern English top-flight history to go an entire Premier League season completely unbeaten. Let that sink in. 26 wins, 12 draws, 0 losses. That right there is the monumental, historic weight of the Invincibles' achievement. It's a benchmark that might honestly never be matched. All right, let's shift gears to part 5, Arsenal in the modern era. We're going to look at exactly how the club has evolved physically and strategically since hitting that unbelievable peak. It's wild, but you can actually track the incredible growth of this club just by looking at their home stadiums over time. We started back in 1886 in Woolwich. Then came that super crucial business move in 1913, up to Highbury. But as the club grew into a true modern giant, they needed a home to match that massive scale. So, in 2006, they made the move into the modern Emirates Stadium. With a capacity of over 60,000 seats, it's a huge physical continuation of their incredible growth over the century. And let me tell you, that massive stadium houses a club with an absolutely undeniable winning pedigree. Just look at the sheer dominance here. They've secured 13 league titles, which firmly establishes them as one of the most successful clubs in English football history. But honestly, what's even more impressive are their 14 FA Cups. That number specifically highlights that Arsenal are the outright, undisputed record holders in that historic competition. So where are they today? Well, today, the club is managed by Mikel Arteta, and he's engineering a massive modern resurgence. And what's really fantastic about Arteta's approach is that he's leaning right back into the club's historic identity. He's placing a huge focus on developing young, hungry talent and playing a really expansive, attacking brand of football. Because of those strategic choices, the club is once again competing strongly right at the top of both domestic and European competitions. Which leaves us with this final, thrilling thought to ponder as we wrap up our explainer. We've seen their incredibly humble beginnings, their completely unbeatable seasons, and their record-breaking trophy hauls. The question now is, can this brand new generation of exciting attacking talent under Mikel Arteta actually match the legendary success of the Gunners' past? It's really the ultimate question for one of football's most fascinating clubs. Thank you so much for hanging out with me to explore this incredible history. I highly encourage you to keep your eyes on the pitch to see exactly how Arsenal's next chapter unfolds.